This is a true story, a chilling tale that unfolded in a bustling Nigerian town, though, with a twist. Mama Adamma, a kind-hearted woman, lived in the village of Omunachi. She had a modest roadside food stall, selling steaming bowls of rice, beans, and spicy stew to the villagers who passed by. The food was nothing extraordinary, yet it nourished the people who came by each day. Though her meals were simple, Mama Adamma was dedicated to her work, waking up early every morning to prepare the meals. Despite her hard work, her earnings were modest. Every evening, she would count the few coins she had earned and wonder why her business didn't seem to grow. She dreamed of something more, of a better stall, finer clothes, and an easier life. But those dreams felt distant, clouded by the harsh realities of life. As the years went by, Mama Adamma's stall remained largely the same. Her loyal customers would stop by for their regular meals, but there was no excitement, no special buzz surrounding her food. In her quiet moments, Mama Adamma would stare at the small corner where her stall stood, wondering if her dreams of success would ever come true. Her children were growing older, and though she was proud of them, she wanted more for their futures. Every day, she worked tirelessly, but it seemed the harder she worked, the farther her dreams slipped away. "Maybe I'm meant to live like this forever," she would whisper to herself each night, hoping for a miracle. One bright morning, Mama Adamma's world changed when Nina, a relative from the city, arrived at her doorstep. Nina was successful, well-dressed, and owned several restaurants in the city. Mama Adamma hadn't seen her in years, and her sudden arrival brought both surprise and hope. Nina stepped out of a sleek car, adorned in fine clothes and sparkling jewelry. After a warm hug, she noticed Mama Adamma's humble stall and smiled sympathetically. "You've worked so hard, but I can help you," she said. Mama Adamma's heart skipped a beat. Could this be the chance she had been waiting for? Over a cup of tea, Nina shared her story with Mama Adamma. She explained that she had built her successful business empire by joining a secret society in the city. "This society has powerful secrets that can help you succeed," Nina said. "I can teach you how to use them." Mama Adamma listened intently, her hope rekindled. "How do I join?" she asked, almost desperately. Nina smiled, her eyes glinting. "Leave it to me, Mama Adamma. I will guide you." Soon after their meeting, Mama Adamma began visiting secret meetings with Nina. The society's rituals were strange and mysterious, involving chants, offerings, and secretive guidance. Though Mama Adamma found some of the practices unusual, her desire for success kept her going. She was determined to rise above her circumstances. As she practiced the rituals, something remarkable happened. Her cooking improved, and her food became richer and more flavorful. The stew that once was simple and unremarkable now had a depth of flavor that no one could resist. Mama Adamma felt a surge of pride as she watched her once quiet stall draw larger and larger crowds. Soon, Mama Adamma's stall became the talk of the village. People from far and wide came to taste her food, forming long lines and eagerly waiting for their turn. Her rice, beans, and stew were now a sensation, drawing customers from neighboring villages. Mama Adamma's humble stall, once forgotten, had turned into the busiest spot in Omunachi. Her profit soared, and she could finally afford better clothes, a larger stall, and the luxury she had longed for. The simple meals she had once served now turned into an enterprise. Her life was changing, and with each passing day, she grew more successful. Along with the transformation of her food, Mama Adamma also found herself becoming more charming. Her smile was brighter, and her voice more soothing. Customers didn't just come for the food, they came for the experience. Her warm demeanor made people feel special, and they couldn't get enough of her. Some would even argue over who was first in line, desperate to taste her food. Mama Adamma became a beloved figure in the village, admired for her generosity and the charm she exuded. As her fame spread, people from even farther away came to sample her dishes. Her stall became a landmark in Omunachi. As the crowds grew larger, Mama Adamma's ambition did too. She wanted even more success, more wealth, and more recognition. The pressure began to mount as she worked tirelessly to keep up with the increasing demand for her food. Her once peaceful life was now filled with chaos. There were also strange occurrences. Sometimes, her food would taste better than usual, but other times, Mama Adamma would notice strange movements in her pots and pans. The stew seemed to stir itself, as though something invisible was at work. Though she dismissed it at first, she couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that something was amiss. Whispers began to spread among the villagers. Some claimed that Mama Adamma's success came too quickly, that something wasn't quite right. Others noticed the strange way her stew stirred itself, but no one dared speak out. The line between curiosity and suspicion grew thinner each day. Mama Adamma, however, remained oblivious to the rumors. She was focused solely on her growing business. Her mind was set on expanding even further, imagining a future where she would be known far beyond Ominachi. But the whispers in the village continued, a growing undertone that couldn't be ignored. One afternoon, a man named Uche came to visit Mama Adamma's stall. He had heard rumors of her success and was curious to see for himself what made her food so special. As he sat down and ordered his meal, he couldn't help but notice something peculiar. The stew in the pot seemed to stir itself. Intrigued, he decided to go closer and observe. At first, Uche dismissed it as a trick of his eyes, but when it happened again, his curiosity deepened. He stared at the pot, wondering if anyone else had noticed. His unease grew as he watched the stew churn on its own, seemingly with a mind of its own. Uche returned to Mama Adamma's stall several times, each time watching closely as she served her meals. The stew continued to move on its own. He could no longer deny what he had seen. Something was wrong. But when he mentioned it to Mama Adamma, she merely laughed it off, dismissing it as an odd coincidence. But Uche couldn't forget what he had witnessed. It seemed impossible, yet undeniable. He needed to know more. He wasn't sure if it was the food or something more sinister at play, but he couldn't ignore his growing suspicion. Unable to ignore the unsettling events any longer, Uche decided to bring the matter to the local police. He shared his concerns about the strange happenings at Mama Adamma's stall. The officers were skeptical, brushing it off as a harmless superstition. But Uche's persistence paid off, and they agreed to investigate further. One afternoon, the police arrived at Mama Adamma's stall in plain clothes, blending in with the crowd of customers. They watched quietly, their eyes fixed on the pot of stew. What happened next would shock them all. As the officers watched, the stew began to stir again, just as Uche had described. They were no longer skeptical, it was happening right before their eyes. One officer stepped forward, demanding an explanation. Mama Adamma, he said, "What's in your stew? What are you hiding?" Mama Adamma's calm demeanor faltered. She tried to deny any wrongdoing, claiming that her food was simply well prepared. But her eyes betrayed her, and the officers grew more suspicious. Frustrated, one of the officers grabbed the pot and tipped it over. The crowd gasped in horror as a massive python slithered out from the pot, alive and writhing. The villagers screamed in terror, scattering in all directions. Mama Adamma stood frozen, her face pale as the truth came to light. The python had been the source of her success. The rituals, the society, the strange occurrences, everything had been part of a dark and twisted path to success. Mama Adamma had sold her soul for wealth, and now the consequences were upon her. The villagers stood in stunned silence as the python slithered away. The truth was undeniable. Mama Adamma had made a pact with dark forces to achieve her success. She had sacrificed her morals and her integrity for the sake of wealth and recognition. The police took her away, but the damage was done. Her once thriving stall now lay abandoned, a haunting reminder of the price of ambition gone wrong. The villagers would never forget the woman who had once been the pride of Ominachi, but whose desire for success led her down a dark and twisted path. Mama Adamma was taken into custody, and the news of her dark secret spread quickly. The villagers couldn't stop talking about it. Many were horrified that someone they had trusted for so long could be capable of such evil. Others felt betrayed by the woman who had seemed so kind, so generous, yet had hidden a sinister secret beneath the surface. Her stall, once full of life, stood silent and empty. The once joyful crowds were now a distant memory, replaced by an unsettling silence. The village had lost more than just a food vendor. They had lost their trust in the very idea of success at any cost. In her prison cell, Mama Adamma reflected on her choices. The life she had dreamed of, riches, fame, and success, had all come at a terrible price. She had sold her soul to gain wealth, but now she had lost everything. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. No amount of money or fame was worth the emptiness she now felt. Her regrets were heavy, and the truth of her actions weighed on her every waking moment. She wished she had never joined the secret society, wished she had never made the pact that had led her down this dark path. But it was too late. Back in the village, the news of Mama Adamma's arrest continued to shock the villagers. Many felt betrayed, for they had trusted her. They had enjoyed her food, shared laughter with her, and believed in her success. Now they questioned everything. Had the food they ate been tainted by dark forces? Some people began to question the price of ambition. Could it be that the pursuit of wealth and success, when taken too far, could lead to corruption? The story of Mama Adamma became a warning in the village, a cautionary tale for generations to come. As time passed, Mama Adamma's stall remained abandoned. Weeds grew around the edges, and the once thriving business became a ghost of its former self. The villagers occasionally walked past the spot, shaking their heads in disbelief. No one would ever forget Mama Adamma, not for her cooking, but for the dark secret she had hidden. The story of the once beloved food vendor became part of the village's folklore, a tale told to remind future generations of the dangers of greed and the price of success. While Mama Adamma rotted in her cell, the influence of the secret society she had joined continued to linger. No one knew how far the reach of the society went or how many others had fallen prey to its promises of power and wealth. What had happened to Mama Adamma could have happened to anyone who had been desperate enough to listen. But for now, the village of Ominachi was safe, and the shadow of the society no longer hung over Mama Adamma's stall. In her cell, Mama Adamma was haunted by her choices. The faces of her children, her family, and her customers replayed in her mind. She had been so focused on wealth and success that she had lost sight of everything else. She had betrayed herself, her family, and her village. Her once proud stall was gone, and she would never see it again. The silence of her regret was deafening, a constant reminder of what she had lost. Years after her downfall, the village slowly returned to normal. New food vendors opened stalls in the area where Mama Adamma's stall once stood. The village healed from the scandal, but they would never forget the lesson Mama Adamma had taught them. Success, the villagers learned, was not worth the cost of one's soul. As time passed, the memory of Mama Adamma began to fade. Her story was still told in whispers, a cautionary tale that warned people about the dangers of ambition and the pursuit of wealth at any cost. But eventually, even that story would fade into history. Mama Adamma was gone, and her legacy, if it could be called that, remained a reminder of the consequences of unchecked desire. The man, Uche, who had first noticed the strange events at Mama Adamma's stall, had long since moved away from Ominachi. He never forgot what he had seen, though. He occasionally heard stories of her fall from grace, and the police who had investigated the stall with him often recalled the horror of finding the python. Uche would always wonder if there were others like Mama Adamma, willing to go to unimaginable lengths for success. Mama Adamma's life came to an abrupt end. Her story became one of tragedy and caution. She had once been a woman of simple dreams, but in her quest for success, she lost everything. And so, Mama Adamma's tale lives on as a warning to all. Be careful what you wish for, because the price of ambition can be higher than one ever imagined. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means everything to us. If you enjoyed this video and love African folktales as much as we do, please don't forget to subscribe to African Folktales Live On. Show your love by liking the video, and don't be shy, leave a comment to share your thoughts. Let's keep our storytelling traditions alive, together.